I poured the wine, hands steady, smile fixed. I moved from guest to guest bottle, tilted just enough to show warmth, not servitude. "Thank you, Mrs. Malkin," Anya said sweetly, her accent, charming just thick enough to make her sound elegant, not unsure. "Call me Vera," I said, keeping the tone light. She gave a soft laugh and looked at my son. David beamed at her like a schoolboy in love. "She's amazing, isn't she?" he said. "Speaks 4 languages, graduated top of her class in St. Petersburg. And the way she's picked up English," he added. "Only 6 months here, and she sounds practically fluent." "Oh, stop," Anya said, nudging him. "I still mix up words. English is very hard." Everyone chuckled. I smiled. I cut the roast. I passed the bread. Anya asked about the house, the piano, the photos on the wall. I told her about my late husband, Michael, an engineer, quiet but kind. She nodded with perfect sympathy, even dabbed at her eye when David shared a childhood story. For 2 hours, she was flawless. Then David stepped out to take a call. Work. He apologized, kissed her temple, and disappeared down the hall. Anya's phone lit up. She excused herself, answered it, and walked into the next room. But not far. I could still hear her. I didn't mean to. I was just refilling water glasses in the dining room when her voice changed. Russian, fast, familiar. "Yes, Mama. The house is nice. Bigger than I thought. She's harmless. An old cow. He'll marry me soon. The green card will be easy. Then we'll handle the inheritance." I froze. The picture stayed in my hand. My ears buzzed. She clings to him. Pitiful, really. But once we're married, he'll have to choose. He's weak? He'll choose me? Americans are sentimental, especially the men. Give them affection. Cook a few meals, they'll hand you the deed. The water overflowed. I set the pitcher down. She talks a lot about his father. I bet he left her everything. I'll find a way to get it. Give it 2 years. Then I'll leave. Green card money freedom. She laughed. Light, delicate, cruel. I stepped into the hallway, hands folded. "Anya," I said softly. She jumped. I kept my face neutral, my voice level. "Before you go on, I should warn you, your Russian is excellent." "So is mine." Her mouth opened, closed, then twisted into something unreadable. "I, Mrs. Malkin, I didn't mean—" "Call me Vera," I said. "We're family now, aren't we?" David's footsteps came down the hall. "Everything okay?" he asked, looking between us. Anya smiled. "Yes, just telling your mother how happy I am." He reached for her hand. She held on. I went back to the table, picked up the serving spoon, and filled their plates again. The rest of the evening passed like a play. Smiles, compliments, small talk. But inside me, something sharp had settled. Not anger, not yet, not grief, precision. I cleared the dishes, rinsed them one by one, and stacked them just so. They sat on the couch. She leaned into him, laughing softly. He looked over at me and mouthed, "Thank you." I nodded. Once wiped my hands and poured a cup of coffee. She thought I hadn't heard. She thought I didn't matter. But I had. And I did. And as I sipped in silence, I knew exactly where this was going next. I scrubbed the roast pan with more force than necessary. Grease clung to the sides. I pressed harder. Water scalded my wrists, but I didn't flinch. Behind me, they laughed. Anya's voice floated in like smoke, soft, measured, manipulative. David responded with that low chuckle he had since he was a boy, the one he used when he thought he was safe. I kept my back to them. I rinsed, dried, stacked, wiped. No wasted motion. Mom, David called. "You sure you don't want to sit with us? I'm fine," I said. "Just finishing up." He didn't push. Never did. Anya appeared in the doorway a few minutes later. She held her wine glass like it belonged in a gallery. "Dinner was lovely," she said. "You're such a wonderful cook." "Thank you," I replied. She stepped closer, lowered her voice. I didn't mean what you heard. I didn't hear anything I said flatly. Just a beautiful language. She paused, reading me, looking for cracks. David means a lot to me. I turned, faced her fully. Let's keep it that way. Her jaw tensed, but she nodded. Of course. I poured myself another cup of coffee, sat at the table, watched her rejoin David on the couch. She draped herself across his side like she'd lived here 10 years. He looked so happy, so proud, so unaware. I stared into the mug. Bitter, black, no cream, no sugar. They stayed another hour, laughed about something on TV, whispered, kissed once, then gathered their coats and left. Thanks again, Mom, David said, hugging me at the door. I think this is it. She's really the one. I kissed his cheek. Drive safe. Anya smiled, wide-waved, linked her arm through his, and they disappeared into the cold. I locked the door, turned off the lights, carried my coffee to the kitchen window. The driveway emptied. The house hushed. Only then did I let my shoulders fall. I sat down at the table and stared out into the dark. She didn't slip. She didn't make a mistake. That call wasn't careless, it was arrogant. She didn't think I could understand. She thought I was nothing more than the wallpaper in David's life. Old. Harmless. Replaceable. But I wasn't. I'd stayed quiet. For now. Because David wasn't ready to hear it. And when he finally was, I would have everything ready. Every word, every document, every truth. I'd raised him to think for himself. Now I'd have to trust he still could if given the full picture. But until then, I'd stay quiet, smile when needed, listen always, and watch what she did next. I opened the curtains. The driveway was full. Cars lined the curb. Music thumped low from the backyard. I didn't need a calendar to know the date. I knew it like I knew the inside of my own palms. January 14th. My birthday. I didn't expect balloons. I didn't expect a surprise. But I did expect a call, a text, even 2 words. Nothing came. Instead, I saw David crossing the lawn with a bottle of champagne. Anya followed him holding a cake. 3 tiers, white frosting, gold trim. I stepped onto the porch. Quiet, uninvited. They'd set up string lights, tables, heaters. Laughter floated up like steam. Then I saw the sign, "S Dnем Rождения, Mama," big block letters strung across the hedges. It didn't say Vera. It said Mama. But it wasn't for me. Anya kissed an older woman on both cheeks. Blonde, younger than me, wrapped in a tailored coat and expensive perfume. I watched David hand her a glass. He toasted. She smiled. People clapped. My chest didn't tighten. My face didn't change. I just sipped my coffee and watched them all pretend. I had raised him alone. Michael died when David was 7. I worked nights, skipped vacations, sold my wedding ring to keep our mortgage paid. I made every birthday cake myself, frosting from scratch. And now, on my own birthday, he held a cake for someone else's mother. No call, no card, not even a mistake message. I went back inside, sat at the table, folded a napkin over and over until it tore in my hands. The music rose. Fireworks popped. A cheer went up from the backyard. I stared at the sink, the empty plate, the cold coffee. I didn't cry. I didn't curse. I just stood, opened the cabinet, took down the small notebook I kept behind the flour tin, and I wrote one line, John 14. Cake champagne, no call. I closed the book, returned it to its place. Then I took the trash out, walked past the fence, heard David laugh, heard Anya say, "This is what family feels like." I didn't stop, didn't wave, just dropped the bag into the bin and went back inside. I locked the door, turned off the porch light, and brewed another cup. I dropped my keys. The corner was bare. Where my chair should have been just sunlight and dust. I stood there a second, unsure if I'd walked into the wrong house. Same rug. same table. But my chair gone. I set the grocery bag down, slowly walked to the empty space, stared at it. Then I called. David. He came in from the hallway. Casual. Jacket slung over one arm. Oh yeah, I meant to text. I waited. He rubbed the back of his neck. Anya's mom has sciatica or something. She needed a good support chair and yours was just sitting there. We figured you wouldn't mind. He didn't hear the change in my voice. We're gonna order you a new one, he added. Something comfier. Maybe with those massage buttons. I walked to the space. Touched the floor. That chair had been with me 25 years. I nursed David in it. Grieved Michael in it. Fell asleep in it during storms, curled up with Bill's bad movies. Flew nights, quiet mornings. Where did you put it? Anya's mom took it back to their place. No call, no note. It's just a chair, Mom. Anya appeared behind him. She really appreciated it. She doesn't have much furniture here yet. I turned to her. And I don't have much family left. Should I start giving that away too? She blinked like the thought had never crossed her mind. David stepped between us. Okay, let's not, Mom. It's fine. You'll get another one. It's not like we sold it. No, you gave it away. I nodded slowly. Right. Not sold. Just taken. I walked to the kitchen. Started unpacking the groceries. David followed. You're not mad, are you? No, I said too quickly. Of course not. Just tired. Anya hovered near the hallway. We'll make it up to you. Maybe a little weekend trip. That vineyard place you liked, I'm sure you'll both be too busy. I said, placing eggs into the fridge. Planning things. David frowned. Planning what I shut the fridge. Your life. He didn't speak. Anya pulled him gently by the arm. Let's give her space. They left soon after. I waited until I heard the door shut. Then I pulled the receipt folder from the drawer. Found the tag from the original purchase. $349 bought on a Tuesday after a night shift at the hospital. I'd worked 3 doubles to afford it. I didn't want another chair, I wanted that one. But more than that, I wanted to not be edited out of my own life. I took the notebook from the cabinet. Wrote the date. Feb 3. Chair gone. Not sold, just taken. I stared at the words, then added one more line. Begin saving copies. I opened the drawer. The small metal key was still taped under the cutlery tray exactly where Michael left it. I peeled it free. Drove to the bank, walked past the receptionist like I belonged. They led me to the back vault. I signed the card. No questions. No hesitation. The box slid out heavy. Cold. I carried it to the table. Sat down. Lifted the lid. The first envelope was yellowed at the edges. Michael's handwriting on the front. Hold until needed. I opened it with shaking hands. The house deed. In both our names. But the final clause mattered. Transfer upon surviving spouse's will, no automatic inheritance. Next envelope, his will. Updated the year before the accident. One signature, one notary. His assets, his life insurance, his accounts. All left to me, no conditions. Then a third item. A letter typed, dated, signed. Closure of joint account ending 9923. Request to consolidate funds under V. Kashanova as sole beneficiary. My name. His name. Both inked. He must have known something, or feared something, or just wanted me to have peace. I closed the box. Exhaled. They thought I was just furniture. Quiet. Soft. But I still held the paper. I still held the power. I returned the key. Walked to the car. Started the engine. I didn't drive home. I drove to Martin and Fellows. Estate attorneys. The sign hadn't changed in 20 years. Inside, the assistant recognized me. Mrs. Kasyanova. It's been a while. I smiled. Is Martin in? I'll check. He came out minutes later, older but still sharp-eyed. Shook my hand like no time had passed. Vera. What brings you in? I handed him the folder. I want to update the language and add some protections. He opened it, read quietly, then looked up. You never used any of this. I didn't need to. Until now. He nodded. Let's make sure you're ready. I signed a few forms, scheduled a formal review. When I left, the air felt clearer. They had taken my chair, my birthday, my place at the table, but not my name, not my claim, not my house. Not yet. I drove home, sat at the table, wrote one line in the notebook, Feb 5, box opened. He left everything, still mine. Then I made a copy of each page, folded them flat, and sealed them in a new envelope marked, if they push. I drove to Lillian's house without calling first. She opened the door in slippers, blinking behind thick glasses. Vera. I stepped inside. I need a favor. And your old brain. We sat at her kitchen table. Coffee. No sugar. I slid the envelope across. She's Russian, I said. Says she's here on a student visa. But something's wrong. Lillian didn't speak for a while, just flipped slowly through the copies. Deed. Will. Closure letter. Then the photo. Anya on my porch with David. Hand on his chest. Eyes fixed forward. Lillian sipped. She doesn't look nervous enough. About what? Everything. These girls, if they're really here for love, they move differently. Careful. Grateful. Always watching the clock. Visa girls always know the clock. I nodded. She's too confident, I said. Too clean, Lillian muttered. Too pretty, too polished. You said she helps clear the table but never looks tired. I stared at the countertop. She throws parties for her mother. On your birthday, Lillian added. That's the kind of arrogance that comes from planning something. My voice stayed low. Green card. Lillian didn't answer at first. She opened a drawer, pulled out a thick blue folder with government seals on the tabs. Here, she said, flipping. Marriage fraud indicators. You know I kept everything. Look here. Section 4. Language gaps, timeline gaps, sudden romances, power imbalances. She looked at me. You said your son has assets. He does. In his name, but from Michael's estate. The Roth accounts, the policy, the house, if he inherits. She's targeting something she said. That's clear. I sipped my coffee. David won't listen. Then don't talk to him yet. Lillian slid a blank yellow notepad across the table. Start writing down everything. Times, dates, who said what. Keep it neutral. No feelings. Just facts. I wrote Sept 14, first meeting. Spoke Russian on call. Called me cow. Lillian added, check her I-94 entry record. If you can get her full name, date of birth, I can show you how to request it. Quietly. Don't spook her. What if she's using a fake name? Then she'll slip. Fake names crack. Real ones leave traces. I closed the folder. Can you help me dig? I'll walk you through it. But Vera, this isn't a dinner squabble. If you're right, this is federal. I didn't blink. Then I won't go in blind. We sat in silence for a few seconds. The heater kicked on. Something hummed near the fridge. Then she said it. Don't confront her. Yet. You're the mother. Stay boring, stay small. They always slip when they think you're harmless. I nodded, kissed her cheek. Thank you. As I drove home, I didn't turn the radio on. Instead, I replayed Anya's voice in my mind. The way she'd said inheritance like it was an appetizer. The way she hadn't flinched when David forgot my birthday. By the time I pulled into the driveway, I'd written 2 more entries in the notebook. Oct. 3. Armchair moved. No warning. Given away to Anya's mother. Novi 10. No birthday call. Cake seen through fence. Champagne. Laughter. I stepped inside, locked the door, and slid the notepad under the cushion of the kitchen bench. Let them play polite. Let them think I'm folding. I'd already started collecting. I grabbed the wine from the counter and walked into the dining room. Anya waved me over. Bright smile arms spread like a hostess. You made it, Vera. Come sit next to Mama. Her mother, all perfume and pearls, smiled tight and nodded. Her wrist flicked as she reached for her glass. That's when I saw it. Gold band, etched ivy vines, a single sapphire in the clasp. My grandmother's bracelet. I stopped mid-step. My hand clenched around the neck of the bottle. Anya's voice chirped. "Isn't it lovely? I told Mama to wear something American." I didn't sit. I walked over, leaned down, eyes locked on the bracelet. "This is beautiful," I said evenly. "Where did you get it?" Her mother's accent curled the words. "A gift from my daughter. She said it belonged to family." David looked up, still chewing. Anya beamed. "It was just in one of the old drawers, right? Thought it would be a nice gesture." "From my bedroom?" I asked. David put his fork down. "It's just jewelry, Mom. You never wore it." "I didn't think you didn't ask," I said. The room stalled. Forks paused midair. A baby cried from the hallway. Anya laughed too loud. "Vera, it's not a big deal. You've said yourself you don't need all these little things cluttering the house." Her mother nodded. "It is only sentimental, not worth much." David reached across and patted my hand. "It's not like it's gone forever. If you want it back," I pulled my hand away. I looked at Anya. That bracelet was my grandmother's. She wore it to her wedding in 1924. She gave it to my mother, who gave it to me when I turned 21. I looked at David. "And I never gave it to anyone." He shifted in his seat, eyes dropping. Anya's mother reached to unclasp it. "No," I said. "Keep it for tonight." I sat down slowly, jaw tight, eyes forward. The rest of dinner blurred. Chicken, potatoes. Anya's father talking about property in Novosibirsk. Her mother complaining about U.S. healthcare. David nodding, always agreeable, always trying to smooth it over. I kept watching the bracelet. It shimmered every time she moved. After dessert, I stood to collect plates. No one stopped me. In the kitchen, I ran the water too hot. My hands stung. Anya came in behind me. "You're not being fair." I didn't turn. I didn't steal it. I just thought, you weren't using it. And Mama's wrists are so small it fit perfectly. I said nothing. She stepped closer. "David doesn't like tension. You know that." I dried my hands slowly. She tried again. "I just wanted to make her feel welcome here." "Isn't that what you'd want as a mother?" I turned then. "No. What I want is for people to ask before they take." She rolled her eyes and left the room. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked the hallway, past the locked cabinet where I used to keep jewelry. It had no lock now. I'd removed it after Michael died. Trusted the house was safe. I opened it. Empty tray, a single hairpin, a button, a paperclip. I closed the door. In the morning, I wrote again. Deck 5. Bracelet seen on Anya's mother. Sapphire gold engraved. Taken without asking. Then I made coffee. Black. No sugar. And called my bank. Anya slid the brochure across my table. "Look at this place, Vera. Modern. Safe. Activities every day. You'd love it." I pushed my coffee mug back. Didn't touch the glossy page. David leaned forward. "It's not about pushing you out. We just think you deserve comfort. You've done enough here. Enough here. My own kitchen. My own house." Anya's nails tapped the paper. "Retirement communities are wonderful in America. I read reviews. This one has a garden, even a pool. You could relax, no worries." David nodded quickly. "And quiet. You'd love the quiet." I looked at him. My son. The boy I raised with late-night shifts, bruised hands, bills that never stopped coming. He sat there, echoing her lines like a student reciting a lesson. I smiled. Small, steady. "I'll think about it." Anya clapped her hands softly. Pleased. "Good. It's best to plan early." For everyone. I poured more coffee. No one spoke. That night I waited until the house was still. Sat at my desk. Pulled out my old address book, the pages soft from years of handling. My finger traced a name I hadn't called in decades. Mark Reynolds. I taught him freshman English in '98. awkward, stubborn always with 1,000 questions. He grew into them. I kept the Christmas card from 5 years ago, his wife smiling, his 2 girls holding hands. He'd written a line at the bottom, "If you ever need anything, I owe you more than I can say." He worked federal now. Homeland Security. Immigration. I dialed. My hands didn't shake. He answered on the 3rd ring, his voice warm, surprised. "Mrs. Baranova." "Hello, Mark." A pause, then laughter. "It's been 20 years. You sound the same." I wish I could say the same for the situation. He went quiet. I told him pieces. Not everything. Enough to draw the outlines. A fiancé from Russia. A quick timeline. Talk of inheritance. Whispered plans. He didn't interrupt, not once. When I finished, he spoke low. "You need to tread carefully. If she's doing what you think she's doing, it's bigger than just your family. And if she isn't, she is." Another pause. He exhaled. "All right. Then start a file. Dates. Times. Names. Keep it neat. I can't move unless there's a clear pattern. But when there is, I'll know who to send it to." I wrote his words down. File. Dates. Times. Names. When we hung up, I sat still in the dark. Listened to the hum of the fridge. The quiet tick of the clock. Not the quiet Anya wanted. Not the quiet David repeated. This quiet was mine. I opened my notebook. December 7th. Offer to move into retirement community. Brochure pushed across table. You'll love the quiet. Response. I'll think about it. I shut the book, drew a line under the entry, and went to sharpen every pencil I owned. I knocked twice short firm. Mark opened the door. "Come in," he said, already stepping back. He didn't offer coffee. He knew why I was there. He led me to his home office, closed the blinds, locked the door. Sat. "I pulled what I could without raising flags," he said. "These aren't transcripts, just logs. Timing, numbers, destinations." He handed me a folder. I flipped it open. Anya's name, her number, and then a list. Dozens of calls, most local, harmless. But 5 stood out, repeated, clustered. A New York area code. Same contact label every time. Natasha. Agency. I tapped it. This one. He nodded. I ran it. Registered under a shell corp based in Brighton Beach. Russian language matchmaking and visa consultation. Technically legal, but shady as hell. Been flagged before. Not shut down. How often? 14 calls over 6 weeks. Short-timed. Some at 3 a.m. Your time. I swallowed hard. Turned the page. 3 other numbers. Moscow, Kazan, Sochi. No names, just numbers. Repeated always after midnight. What's she saying? Mark shook his head. Unless I have a legal trigger, I can't get content. But patterns tell stories, Vera. You know that. I did. He leaned forward. What's your gut? I stared at the logs. She's not acting alone. She's being coached? Exactly. I slid the folder shut. You need more, I asked. I need motive, movement, paper trail. If she's working through an agency, there's a pattern. Find the cracks. I stood. She already showed me one. He raised an eyebrow. She wore my grandmother's bracelet on her mother's wrist. Mark didn't ask how that made me feel. He didn't have to. Instead, he handed me a second envelope. Background request you signed last week. Here's the preliminary. I opened it, read the top line. Anya Volkova. No prior verified U.S. employment, no tax records, no education records. Tourist visa, expires March 15th. I blinked. That's in 3 months. He nodded. And they're pushing you out now. I closed the file, my chest tight, but steady. Let me know when you're ready to move, he said. You've got enough to start. I'm not ready yet, I said. Why? Because she thinks she's winning. I left without another word. Back home, the house was quiet. The lights in David's room glowed faint under the door. I went to my desk, opened my notebook, logged the call data, every number, every label, date, and time. Then I drew a clean line down the center of a new page. Left side. What I know. Right side, what they think I don't. Underneath, I wrote the date of Anya's visa expiration, and in the corner, I marked a countdown. 96 days. 3 months. 3 months until her mask fell on its own. Unless I pulled first. I capped my pen. Closed the book. Walked to the window. The front porch light flickered. A car pulled up. David stepped out. She followed. Their laughter floated across the lawn like a dare. I didn't move. I didn't wave. I just stood there and watched her reach for his hand like she owned it. I drove straight to Mark's without calling first. Banged once. He opened fast. What happened? Run it again, I said. Anya Volkova. Full trace. Something's off. He didn't ask questions. Sat. Pulled up his laptop. 10 minutes. A deep frown. Then he froze. You were right, he said. Voice low. She's not Anya Volkova. I stepped closer. What do you mean she's using a real person's ID? That woman exists. Born in St. Petersburg. Works in hotel management. I cross-referenced photos 2 different faces. The real Anya's got brown eyes. Yours has green. Name theft, I said. He nodded. Identity cloning. Sloppy, but effective. She built her story around real data, so it checks out at a glance. I sank into the nearest chair. Mark kept going. And here's where it gets worse. He slid over 2 files. Marriage certificate, Nevada. Divorce decree, New Jersey. Different names, but same face. She's done this twice. Different aliases. Same scam. Met men online, moved fast, married, filed for status, divorced once the paperwork cleared. Took a payout both times. One was an accountant, the other a contractor. Both filed police reports, but she vanished. Until now, I muttered. He pointed at the screen. She's perfected it. She's upped the act. This time she came after a family, assets, legacy, my son. Mark leaned back. This isn't just immigration fraud. It's targeted predation. My mouth went dry, and David doesn't know I whispered. No. And she's close. That expiration date's coming. She's on schedule. I stood. My hands trembled, but not from fear. Rage. Pure, clear rage. She'll push for a proposal next. I can feel it. Mark nodded. Pressure builds. Holiday timing. Emotional leverage. Classic tactic. I clenched my fists. He'll offer her my husband's ring. You ready to stop it? Not yet, I said. Not publicly. You want her to believe she's still winning. I nodded. He handed me a folder. Here's everything. Certified copies. Ready for court if it comes to that. I took it. Tucked it under my coat. Drove home. Inside the house was dark. Only the kitchen light hummed. I poured coffee. No cream, no sugar, just heat and silence. Anya's voice echoed in my head. She's an old cow. I'll marry him. Then the money. I sipped, swallowed it down. David's car rolled in, doors slammed. Laughter. Keys. Their shadows passed the window. I stayed still. They entered giggling. Mom, he called. You're still up. I smiled as I turned. Of course. Anya beamed. We brought pie. From that little place on Pike Street. Your favorite. She held the box like a peace offering. I took it. So thoughtful. David draped his coat. We were talking tonight. About next steps. My chest tightened. He didn't notice. We're thinking New Year's might be symbolic. For a proposal. Anya rested her head on his shoulder. But only if you approve, of course. I smiled. I'd never stand in the way of love. She relaxed. He lit up. I turned toward the pantry, folded the pie box away, and whispered to myself, not yet. But I will. I pressed the binder flat on the lawyer's desk. Martin Sullivan didn't open it right away. He studied me, same sharp gaze softened with time. He hadn't seen me since Gerald's will was finalized. 8 years. He didn't ask why I was here. He flipped open the binder. Inside, phone records, screenshots, visa logs, identity traces, and a side-by-side comparison of two different Anyas. He turned page after page, slow methodical, paused at the Nevada and New Jersey divorce filings, made a low sound when he reached the real Anya Volkova's employment history. "This is clean," he finally said. "And damning." He reached for a legal pad. "You want to go public?" "Not yet," I said. "You want to scare her off?" "No. You want to disinherit David. Temporarily." He nodded. "We'll build a trust. One that bypasses him until conditions are met." He clicked his pen. "What kind of conditions?" "Honesty, clarity, recovery." He raised an eyebrow. "So you're leaving a door open?" "For him, yes. For her, never." We worked for 2 hours. Adjusted the deed. Amended the trust. Marked David as a beneficiary, but frozen. I retained full control. No one could touch it without my signature. I left with copies in triplicate. Binder updated. Flash drive encrypted. Envelope sealed and labeled, "In case of emergency, Sullivan has originals." Back home, I tucked one copy under the floorboard in the coat closet. Another went in the fireproof box in the laundry room. The third that stayed with me. I made coffee. Sat at the kitchen table. Outside, wind hit the fence hard. Inside, everything was still. I flipped through the binder again. Each page was a weapon. Not for damage, just for clarity. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to beg. I needed proof. And now I had it. The front door opened. Mom David called. "In the kitchen," I said. He walked in, phone in one hand, his face glowing. "Anya just got a call. Her parents are coming to visit from Russia. She's over the moon." I stirred my coffee. "That's nice. She wants them to meet you." I sipped slowly. "Of course." He smiled. "She said it'd mean the world." "They're very traditional." I nodded. "So am I." Anya clapped her hands. "We're doing it. An engagement dinner next Saturday." David looked stunned, but not unhappy. She looped her arm through his and kissed his cheek like it was already decided. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and leaned against the kitchen counter. Here, Anya turned. "We were thinking of booking that little bistro on 4th, but everything's full. I guess everyone's getting engaged this month." I poured coffee. Sat down. "Use the house." She blinked. "I mean, only if you're okay with that." "I insist," I said. David exhaled like I'd saved the day. "Thanks, Mom. It'll be small, close friends. Her parents, maybe a few of mine. Nothing big." "Of course," I said, sipping slowly. "You'll need help. Seating, serving, food." Anya smiled, but there was calculation behind it. "We'll keep it simple. I'll handle everything." "I'll handle dessert," I said. She hesitated. "Sure. That'd be nice." I nodded, stood, rinsed my cup. The hum of the faucet filled the pause. They left the kitchen chattering about guest lists and string lights. I walked to the back hallway, opened the closet, and pulled out the red file box. The binder inside clicked when I opened it. Documents, printouts, photocopies, birth records, immigration logs, identity matches, background history. The plan had a date now. Next Saturday. I called Marcus Webb, told him the time, the place, the list. He asked one question: will she be blindsided? She thinks she's hosting it. Then yes. I hung up, walked to the guest room, pulled the linens, washed, folded, replaced the chipped wine glasses with the good ones, cleaned the silver, bleached the tablecloth, counted the place settings. 11. The number Anya gave me. I added a 12th. The next day, I emailed my lawyer. Subject line: engagement dinner update. Attached a scanned addendum for the trust documents, time to trigger next Saturday evening. I walked past Anya's car in the driveway later that afternoon. She was talking on the phone in Russian, pacing in my garden. Her tone was sharp, short, confident. I didn't stop walking, just listened. Final stage. Yes, the mother won't interfere. No, she's hosting it herself. She laughed. I turned the corner, counted the steps back to the house, opened the fridge, took out the eggs, measured sugar. The dessert would be quiet, sweet, and timed. I printed the list. 11 names. I crossed out 2, typed in 3. First, Marla Chen, Immigration Enforcement. She'd be seated near the hallway. She knew to watch, not speak, unless spoken to. Second, Richard Klein, Estate Lawyer. I added him to the table as family friend. He wouldn't talk much, but he'd witness everything. Third, Elena Petrov. That one I wrote in pen, age 35. From Moscow. Her passport photo showed a quiet woman, darker hair, shorter frame than Anya. But they shared a face. The cheekbones, the nose. Identical twins. No, that would be simple. Elena was the real Anya Volkova, the one with the birth certificate, the one who'd never left Russia. I found her with Marcus Webb's help. Paid for her travel, secured the paperwork, promised answers and safety. She'd been hesitant, then furious. She didn't ask for money, she wanted truth. So did I. I placed her between Marla and Richard. I called it Column C. That night, I cooked. Roasted chicken thighs, citrus glaze, mashed parsnips. Set everything into labeled containers and slid them into the fridge. Then I called David. Everything's set, I said. You'll come a bit early. Yeah, he said, distracted. Anya's finishing the place cards. Mom, thanks again for letting us do this here. I kept my voice even. It's good to celebrate together. She's excited, he added. Wants it to be perfect. I'm sure it will be. I hung up, walked to the entry closet, pulled out the folding chairs, counted again. 12. I placed small cards at each setting, no names, yet just initials. DAVRME. I paused at Elena's seat. Wrote E. Petrov, slid the card in its holder, pressed it flat with my palm. The wind outside knocked softly at the window. I stared at the seat across from mine and didn't move. This wasn't about revenge. It was exposure. Truth in a room where everyone pretended. By morning, the guest list was final. The coffee was ground. The wine bottles set. I ironed my blouse. I laid out the receipts, the printouts, the notarized affidavit from Elena's employer in Moscow. Then I pressed a fresh envelope and slid in a copy of the visa logs, the name switch timeline, the marriage pattern. Everything Marla confirmed. I sealed it, placed it beneath the 12th plate. I lit the candles. 12 flames, all steady. The table shimmered. Silver forks, folded linen napkins, etched wine glasses. Everything set. Everything waiting. David rang the bell by the door. I answered. He carried the cake. Anya stood behind him, flawless in cream silk. Her eyes swept the room like a queen inspecting a castle. She kissed my cheek lightly. Thank you, Vera. You've made this night so special. I said nothing, just nodded. Guests arrived in pairs. Friends of David, neighbors, Anya's cousin or so she claimed. Marla Chen came last in a dark blue dress. She smiled faintly. Lovely setup, she said, her badge hidden in her clutch. Elena sat early, said nothing. Her coat folded over her lap like armor. Everyone assumed she was a friend of mine. No one asked. Perfect. Dinner passed in polite waves, clinking cutlery, sips of wine, safe conversation. Anya laughed a little too loud. David kept his hand on her knee. I watched. I cleared the plates slowly after the main course. The kitchen sink filled with water. Steam fogged the window. Then the sound I'd been waiting for. A spoon tapped a glass. Ting, ting, ting. Anya rose. She held her wine, eyes gleaming. I just want to say, she began lifting her glass. This night means everything to me. All eyes turned. She continued. In my culture, When a couple becomes engaged, it's not just about the two people. It's about the families joining, the traditions shared, the respect passed down. She looked at me, and I've felt nothing but welcomed here. Vera, your grace, your hospitality, your strength are inspiring. I'm honored to join this family. I smiled. Small. Still. She turned to David, touched his arm. I love you, she said, and I can't wait to start our life. Applause? Toasts? David beamed. The room hummed with praise. I nodded. Dessert, I said, rising. In the kitchen, I sliced the cake. Pecan bourbon glaze, David's favorite. I plated 12 perfect pieces, brought them out 2 by 2, 1 by 1. Then the lights dimmed, not by accident. The power strip beneath the buffet. I had flipped the switch. A pause. Laughter. Someone stood to check it. But then, excuse me, Elena said. Her voice was clear, sharp. Everyone turned. She stood now, hands on the back of her chair, eyes locked on Anya. I'm sorry to interrupt this celebration, she said, but I think there's been a mistake. David frowned. What Elena reached into her bag, pulled out a small folder. I'm Elena Petrov. I was born in Moscow. I work in hotel administration, and I am the real Anya Volkova. The room froze. I watched Anya. She didn't blink. Elena Anya said calmly, there must be some confusion. No, Elena said. No confusion. You used my name, my history. You stole my identity. This man, she pointed to David, is engaged to a ghost. David looked between them, panic rising. I placed the envelope on the table. In case anyone needs more, I said, still smiling. Marla stood up. This is now a formal inquiry. Anya dropped her fork. The sound echoed louder than her toast. The knock rattled the door. Firm, rhythmic, not a guest's knock. I stood, walked slowly, opened it. 2 agents in plain suits, badges raised, voices low. Evening, ma'am. We need to speak with Anya Volkova. The dining room went silent. Forks in midair, glasses hovering. David blinked. What's this about routine inquiry? One agent said. Calm, measured. Miss Volkova, would you step outside with us? Anya's chair screeched as she stood. Her smile cracked. Now in the middle of dinner. Now the agent repeated. She looked around. Her parents. David. Me. Everyone staring. Fine, she snapped. She grabbed her clutch. But before she reached the hall, she turned eyes sharp. This is ridiculous. Some mistake. The accent slipped. Clean American vowels sharp and flat. David froze. Anya. Her face hardened. Shut up, David. Then she swung back to me. You stupid old hag. You think you're clever? The words cut through the room like broken glass. Gasps. The neighbor covered her mouth. My cousin Lena muttered a prayer. David's face drained. He stared at her like he didn't know her. Because he didn't. The agent gestured. Miss outside. Now. She bolted for the back door. The second agent moved fast. Blocked her, hand on her shoulder. Don't. She spun teeth, bared. You don't know who you're messing with. But she was shaking. Her parents, if they were parents at all, sat still silent, not even trying to defend her. Marla stepped forward. Badge out. Voice steady. Anya Volkova, or whatever your name is, you're under federal investigation for immigration fraud and identity theft. Sit down. Anya laughed, wild and hollow. Fraud, identity theft. Please. You have no idea what I've built. The accent was gone for good. No Russian softness, no charming lilt. Just cold American steel, David whispered. You lied to me. She turned on him. You were easy. Flowers, dinners, sweet promises, you ate it all. You were nothing but a mark. The words landed like blows. He stumbled back into his chair, couldn't speak, couldn't move. The agents pulled her arms behind her, snapped cuffs, metal on bone. She thrashed once, twice, then stilled. Her hair fell across her face, but her eyes locked on me. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "You've ruined your son. You've ruined everything." The agents guided her to the door. The knights swallowed their steps. The room stayed frozen. David's chest rose and fell like he'd been running. He turned to me, his voice breaking. "Mom, what did you do?" I looked at the empty doorway, at the overturned fork, at the cake untouched, then back at him. I kept the lights on. David stayed seated long after everyone left. Empty glasses, cold food, no music. I cleared plates without speaking. His fingers tapped the ring box. Closed. Unopened. "Was it all fake?" he asked, barely above a whisper. I stacked forks, rinsed them, most of it. She told me her father died, that she worked in a bookstore, that she loved American literature. "She memorized your Goodreads," I said, drying a plate. "Top 5 favorite books." I checked. He flinched. "You were watching us." "I was watching her," I corrected. "You, I know." He held the ring box tighter. "I was going to propose tonight." "I know." His voice cracked. I carried it in my pocket for weeks. Steam rose from the sink. I kept scrubbing. "She made me believe I was rescuing her," he said. "From hardship. From a country that didn't value her. I thought I was giving her safety. She was counting on that." He opened the box. Closed it. Opened it again. "She said she wanted to build a life with me. That I was kind. Different from other men. She said that to a man in Nevada, one in Illinois, and a pilot in Florida." David looked up, eyes red. "You knew all this, I found out piece by piece. And didn't tell me you were in love." He let out a bitter laugh. "So you waited until tonight to destroy it all in front of everyone?" "No," I said. "I waited until she would destroy herself." He said nothing. I poured him coffee. Set it beside the unopened cake. He didn't touch it. "She played the role well," he said. "Sweet. Soft. Needing help. Just enough brokenness to feel real. She's done it before." His hand hovered over the ring box, then dropped. "She was going to wear this," he said. "My grandmother's ring." I sat. "I know." He pushed the box toward me. "Keep it. I can't look at it." I picked it up, held it gently. He stared out the window. "She said she wanted children. A home. Family. She memorized the script," I said. Every word. Silence stretched. David finally stood, walked to the sink, splashed water on his face. "She said you were kind," he whispered. "Too kind to fight back." I turned off the coffee pot, dried my hands. "She said a lot of things," I said, "but she didn't say them to the right woman." He nodded once, picked up his jacket. At the door, he paused. "What now?" I looked at the ring in my palm. "Now we find out what was real." He walked out. No goodbye, just footsteps on gravel. I watched the porch light flicker, then shut the door behind him. I unlocked the safe, pulled the flash drive out from behind the stack of tax returns. David sat at the table, still in yesterday's clothes, hands wrapped around a mug he hadn't sipped. I plugged the drive into my laptop. No words. I clicked play. Her voice spilled out. Sweet, sharp, fast. "She said the house is in her name. I'm checking county records. If we can shift it before the ceremony, it's ours." David didn't react. I clicked the next file. "She leaves the kitchen unlocked. Half the drawers are full of legal stuff. Once he proposes, I'll move her out within a month, just like last time." David flinched. I played the third one. "Tell Natasha the account is nearly ready." He doesn't question anything. He wants to be the hero. They always do. "Once the paper's clear, I don't care if the old woman trips over her own cat." David's eyes dropped. His jaw twitched. I clicked the final file. David soft. He still calls her mommy when he's tired. She'll fold if he asks nice enough. He's the key, not her. I stopped the recording. Silence stretched. David's face was gray. The mug in his hands shook slightly. "I trusted her," he whispered. I waited. She said I was different, that I saw her, that I listened. She said what you wanted to hear, I said. He stared down. She used my love like a crowbar. I said nothing. He wiped his mouth. Swallowed. How long did you have those? Long enough. He looked at me now. And you didn't tell me, you wouldn't have believed me. He closed his eyes. You're right. He leaned back in the chair like the weight had finally landed. I slid the flash drive toward him. Keep it. He stared at it. Why? So you remember her voice, not the one she used with you, the one she used when you weren't listening. He didn't reach for it. Instead, he pulled out his phone, scrolled, found a voicemail, hit play. Anya's voice, all sugar. Baby, I miss you. I'm with Mom, but I wish it were you instead. She's just hard, cold, not like us. Don't worry. It'll be our house soon. I'll make it ours. He hit delete. Then again, another file, another soft whisper. Delete, delete, delete. He stood, walked to the sink, turned on the water, let it run. I don't know who I was around her, he said. You were my son, I said. Still are. He turned off the tap, dried his hands. I want to help clean up, he said quietly. Not just the house. I nodded. He picked up the ring box from the counter, opened it, looked, closed it, then handed it to me. Keep it somewhere real. I took it, placed it on the shelf. Behind me, the dishwasher beeped. He started loading. I didn't stop him. We worked side by side. No words, no lies. Only clinking dishes, the steady hum of water, and the sound of something beginning again. I brewed 2 mugs. Black. No sugar. Elena sat at the kitchen table, hands folded, face calm. Her coat hung behind the door, her scarf draped neatly over the chair back. She hadn't spoken much since arriving, only a polite nod, a thank you, and one quiet comment on the snow. I placed the mug in front of her. She picked it up, sipped slowly, winced. Strong, she said. I don't make it for comfort. She smiled faintly. No, I don't imagine you do. We sat in silence. Outside, the wind rattled the fence. Inside, the floor creaked under memory. She looked at me. You saved my name. You never lost it, I said. She just borrowed it. For 5 years, she said. She worked under it, lived under it. I got a rejection letter from a job I never applied for. A credit check I never ran. I didn't know who I was anymore. You do now. She nodded. Because of you. We drank. No toast, no ceremony. She was very convincing, Elena said. Her English was perfect. Her mannerisms, the way she spoke like she'd grown up watching American television. She studied people, knew exactly what to mirror. She mirrored kindness, I said. That's what makes it sting. Elena studied my face. You look tired. I've been tired before. She leaned back. Do you regret it? Exposing her. No, I said. I regret not doing it sooner. She set her mug down. In Russia, people like her don't go to prison. They vanish, start over. She won't vanish here. Not this time. She'll try, Elena said. But this time her face is in the system. I nodded, and her voice. She looked at me again, eyes sharper. She said horrible things. I heard the recordings. She said worse, I said. I didn't save them all. We both smiled. Small, bitter. Elena exhaled. She almost got away with it. Almost doesn't count. A pause. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. What's this? I asked. My grandmother's bracelet, she said. She sold it. Pawned it in Brooklyn under my name. I tracked it, bought it back. She slid it across the table. I hesitated. Why give it to me? Because you remembered it, she said. Because you noticed it on someone else's wrist and said nothing. That takes restraint. I picked it up, turned it over in my hand. Keep it, she said. Let it stay somewhere honest. I didn't argue. She stood, pulled her scarf tight. You'll be okay, I already am. She hesitated in the doorway. You're the only woman who ever scared her. She mistook silence for weakness. And you used it for a blade. I opened the door for her. She stepped out into the cold. Thank you, Vera, she said. I nodded once. Thank you for being real. She walked down the path. No words. No turning back. I stood there for a moment. Then I closed the door, locked it, turned off the kitchen light, and left the bracelet on the counter catching the last bit of sun. I sealed the last box with clear tape, pressed hard across the top. Her things were easy to sort. Half-worn shoes, scarves still tagged, jewelry I never saw her wear in this house, perfume she left in the bathroom, folders filled with staged resumes, glossy fake transcripts, a birth certificate printed on stock paper. Everything went into the box. No anger, no gloating, just process. The suitcase sat by the front door. Red, glossy, almost new. I wiped the wheels, cleaned the handle. She'd left it in the back of the closet like she never planned to use it again. I filled it with the rest. Her coat, her hairdryer, a book she never finished, tucked a note on top. No forwarding address. I closed the latch, clicked it shut, rolled it to the porch. The wind pushed against me as I stepped out. I didn't flinch. I set the suitcase down next to the boxes, aligned the labels so they faced the street. A quiet offering. Nothing smashed, nothing broken, nothing left open. At noon, a black sedan pulled up. No one got out right away. Then a man stepped out. Mid-30s. No words. He nodded, once picked up the boxes, loaded them carefully. The suitcase last. He didn't knock, didn't ask questions, didn't look back. When he drove away, I stood at the threshold. Still, one hand on the frame, one foot inside. The porch felt lighter. Behind me, the house breathed again. I walked back in, closed the door. I didn't lock it. I didn't need to. David came by in the evening. He didn't say much, just stood in the doorway, eyes on the empty rug where the suitcase had waited. Gone, he asked. Gone, I said. He nodded. He walked into the kitchen, took out 2 mugs, poured coffee, sat down. We drank in silence. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a small velvet box, set it on the table. Not the engagement ring, another. I thought I'd give this to her, he said. Months ago. He opened it. A silver key inside. The one to the house. She said we should share everything, he added. I looked at the key, then at him. Keep it, I said. He slid it back into his pocket. I'm not moving out, he said. Not yet. You don't have to. I'll help with the garage next week, he added. Clear it out. Make space. I nodded. He stood, hesitated. Do you want to talk? I shook my head. Not yet. He didn't argue. He kissed my forehead and left quietly. I stood at the kitchen window after he left. Outside the porch was bare. No shoes, no luggage, no perfume in the air, just wind. And inside the floor didn't creak beneath her steps anymore. I flipped the switch. The percolator hissed. Steam curled against the glass. I pulled down the chipped mug from the second shelf. White worn. The words still there, faint but firm. Still the owner. I poured. No cream, no sugar. Just hot, bitter truth. The house didn't creak this morning. No voices in the hallway. No clicking heels. No fake phone calls in Russian. No slammed drawers. No trailing perfume. Just breath. Quiet, settled breath. I carried the mug to the chair they once moved, without asking. The chair, they said, wasn't mine anymore. It sat in its rightful corner next to the window that caught the sun best between 7 and 8. I sat. The heat from the mug seeped into my palms. I didn't rush the first sip. I didn't brace for interruption. I just drank. Across the street, the neighbors' sprinklers clicked on. A bird landed on the edge of the porch rail. The air held the scent of nothing. David hadn't called yet. I didn't expect him to. He needed space now. I understood that. But he'd be back. I didn't raise a fool, just a man who loved wrong once. The papers were locked in the cabinet. The trust updated. The house secure. My name on everything. No forged forms. No whispered betrayals. And the bracelet. Elena's grandmother's bracelet sat in the dish by the sink. A reminder of the women who watch, who wait, who don't yell to win. I leaned back. The sunlight crept up my legs. Warm, gentle. Not loud, not sudden. Just there. A knock didn't come. The phone didn't ring. The mail hadn't arrived yet. I took another sip. Held it in my mouth. Outside, wind moved the branches. A neighbor's dog barked once and stopped. I looked down at the rug. It was clean, pressed, undisturbed. I didn't move. I didn't have to.